You're listening to a Mash Those Buttons podcast. Visit mashthosebuttons.com for a full podcast schedule.
Guardian? Where's that Guardian?
Hello, and welcome to all of you to episode 75 of In Orbit, Mash Those Buttons podcast dedicated to Destiny and to you, the Destiny community. However we reach your ears, we thank you for making us a part of your Destiny experience. My name is Jorge, and on today's show, we've been invaded by Rasputin. Chris Wagner has returned along with Honus. Say hi, guys.
Yo, what up?
What's up, guys?
And we might want to make sure that you guys are checking out all the other amazing podcasts available here on the Mash Those Buttons network at www.mashthosebuttons.com. Get involved with the show by sending us feedback and questions to inorbitpodcast@gmail.com or on Twitter @inorbitpodcast or on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/dsbolt. So we got a lot to talk about today, but before we get to any Destiny news, I want to talk to you guys specifically about GuardianCon. So how was your experience?
It's so like I'm speechless, blah. So it's like, imagine this is my first like video game like convention. So, being in an area of people who all appreciate the game as much, if not more than you do, and then all for an amazing purpose at the same time, it was like the vibe in there had me like riding this wave for probably about a week. I was like just in shock and awe from like everything that we saw, people we talked to, stuff like that. What do you think about it, Honus?
I just thought it was amazing. I'll start with my positives and then we can go into some negatives, things I would like to see changed. But the positives were just the reception from the crowd, the other people around us, the other content creators that are there. They were fantastic. They were personable. Right. They wanted to, they met you. They wanted to talk with you. It wasn't like, here, let me sign your stuff and get out of my face. Right. It was, oh, hey, I've seen you in my chat. Like, let's talk for 5 minutes. And while you were in line waiting for that, it was very frustrating when people were having a dissertation talk in front of you. But seriously, it was nice to see that. You know, part of me was like, oh man, I wish this would hurry up. But then part of me is like, everyone gets their time and not just like the 10 seconds. It's like you get your time to talk to the person.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and we met some pretty amazing people in the lines too, because we had our Rasputin Radio shirts on. So people were like, yo, awesome logo. And we're like, yo, what's up? And then we just started bullshitting and stuff. So it was like Honus said, like a reception of like everyone that loves the game. And now cons though, the heat outside waiting. And that was a big thing. And I heard Broman and some other people talking about it behind the scenes. And they were talking about like, we need to do something about that because it's an effing problem. Because it was bad. Like people, like I really thought, like I was all hyped to be there with all these Destiny nerds. And people were getting mad. Jorge, I am a Destiny nerd as well. But
all us Destiny nerds.
All us Destiny. Okay,
you that's what kind of said it like all the Destiny nerds.
All you other, not me nerds. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
As I stare at all my Destiny art on my wall that I've hung up. But
and the pop figures that you're about to get.
And all the figurines I have next to my desk. But it's like they were about to riot, Jorge. They were about to riot. People were livid. People were livid. I was like, oh my God, someone's going to get lynched. I was like, this is bad. Like, for real. They were pissed.
One of my big...
It was that bad? The line for the...
It wasn't that. Okay, so my biggest con was the layout and like the way they had things set up. It started with the line to get in. There was 2 lines for security check-in. Now, no one knew what was going on. Is this the line to get tickets for people that didn't? They didn't know.
Right.
Me,
there was nothing signified.
I didn't wait really in line. Chris got in line, and then I walked all the way up to the front and started talking to people because I want to know. Like, I'm not going to wait in a long ass line if I don't have to, or if I have to wait. Like, I knew I was going to have to wait, but I just want to make sure we were where we were supposed to be.
Right.
So I found out that So I found out that the lines that were going in at first were the security check-ins, not like where people got VIP passes. It's just a security check. Check your book bag, get wanded, go in, right? Everyone had to go through that, kind of like the security in an airport.
Right.
People that had VIP passes, Chicken and I did not, who spent $250, they really like wanted to go to the front. They thought they could just go right in.
Well, they had early access as well, too. So it was like one of those things where they were like, well, I'm going to go to the front because I can. And people were getting pissed.
Right. And so like a little more direction, like I think at the front, they should have honestly had 2 lines for check-in, like for people that weren't VIP and then 1 VIP line where they could get people in, earlier. I think that it just needed to be directed better. It had nothing. They had the facilities there. It just needed to do it a little bit better.
And that's just outside. That was just outside management. Like once you get inside, the check-in was smooth, easy. You got your ID, and then you were in. And it was just the whole like entry in. Basically, the security check. Security check needs to be looked at, and I heard them talking about that. So. You already know it's not going to be a deal.
I thought the layout of the theaters that they had 3 big theaters, could have been better.
I think they had them positioned for sound because when we were in the one theater, it was getting loud at the other one, and it didn't interrupt them as much, but you could still tell. You know what I mean? If they were next to each other, it would be a problem.
Oh no, I don't think that. I just think, I don't know, like.
It was hard to find at first. If you didn't have a map or anything, it was hard to find.
Yeah, it was very... I feel like that was my biggest complaint, was that they didn't have like enough direction for people who wanted to see specific things. Like if you didn't care about whatever, you were going to run into it because there was no direction. Like this is this way, this is that way.
I think they should have had a blown up. This is me. We gotta remember, me and Honus are teachers, so like we're all about providing materials and like best success for students. So like my mind goes to, well, I wonder if we could have a blown up poster with the schedule on, outside of each podcast here, so exactly what's going on at what time. We had to like go on our phones and this, that, and then we had to go like hound somebody about a book too, because we didn't have one.
We didn't know about which theater was which, and we went to the wrong theater at once, and we were late, and it wasn't really mapped out well for us. But that's such a very small. Yeah, those are very small things that, like, in spectrum of all the amazing things that we experienced and all the amazing people we had a chance to talk to, that is like so minuscule. It was just like, It's basically, what's that called? Quality, I don't know, quality check. Just like, assurance.
Quality assurance. It's like, it's like, hey, how's my experience? Could be just a little bit better if I did this. That's all.
Right.
Now,
I mean,
I don't mean to interrupt. Is this the same venue as it was last year? Or?
I believe so. It was the Florida State Fairgrounds.
Convention Center. Yeah.
Convention Center, I'm pretty sure. But I think next year, when it's going to be at the Tampa Convention Center, is going to be a lot better because those are where they hold like big,
events.
Conventions and events like teaching conventions and stuff. Because there's one in Texas I went to Dallas, and there's one huge convention center right in the center downtown that's massive and would be cool. Like I can see GuardianCon being at something like that because it's huge ballroom like convention rooms, and it's going to be massive. I can't wait.
My favorite thing was just giving the venue to talk to a lot of content creators. Like we talked to Pope Bear from DCP for like a long time. And he's a teacher as well. So we had a lot of questions, just not about our podcast, Rasputin Radio podcast, just like about how to manage time. He's a teacher. We're a teacher. We were trying to figure out like,
how do you do it, bro?
He has a family, he has kids, right. And not that how you do it. We know about managing time, but how did he do it?
What made him more successful in that?
Correct.
Yeah.
And it was like one of the most down to earth, best conversations that I've had. The conversations we had with Dado were fantastic. They were hilarious. They were hilarious. Yeah. He talked about like how he gets like hate mail from people for his weapon like stat recommendations. Like, well, what about my gun? That's like whatever
he
with
still
these
gets
stats.
Messages about like perfect stat rolls. And it's like, I don't care, bro.
He's like, he didn't really say he didn't care. He was just like, he's like the percentage of the percentage of difference is like so minuscule that it doesn't matter. And he's like, and ultimately, you're not even in my raid group, so why are you giving me hate?
He's like, I'm not judging you because you're I'm not just breathing down your neck or something.
So it was interesting. And we went to DCP. They had a broadcast. It was pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. They did like some fun things on the stage, and they were really funny. And I learned a lot just about different podcast things, and it was great.
Yeah, it was the DCP booth was really cool because our former special guest and good friend Cobb One Art was there selling his prints and stuff for St. Jude's, and whenever we got there, he was like, "Yo, what's up?" And he was like, "Yo, what's up, unknown player? These are my buddies," and we were like, "Oh my god," you know what I mean? And then it was just crazy to the point where like Tefty came over and was like, "What's going on here?" I was like, "Oh, that's our buddy," and he's like, "What's up, dude?" And I was like, "Oh my god, you're Tefty." It was just like it was wild. It was just wild.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wanted to go down. Just unfortunately, I had other things planned for this year, but next year I'm really hoping to be able to make it down to GuardianCon. And the best thing about the entire event, whether I was there or not, was the fact that they raised, what was it, $1.3 million for St. Jude, which is way more than I thought they were gonna. I mean, I thought they were gonna be able to get like the $1 million right there at the last day.
Right.
They got the $1 million before the event even started. I was like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. Like, yeah, I'm just, again, I'm in awe of the community. Seriously, massive round of applause to you guys, because that's great work. That's a very great, that's a great charity, and I just can't say enough about St. Jude's. And it's so great to see the community come together. And that the event, despite its flaws, it seemed to have great energy, great fun, great entertainment, and I hope it grows. I really do. I want this to be our BlizzCon, so to say, our event.
And they added a bunch of stuff from last year. Like they added an arcade, which was a really big hit. Mm-hmm. They added just the little things like that, and it made the experience so much better. Mm-hmm. They're definitely learning and growing. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. So we talked about things we didn't like, but those are just nitpicky things. We're talking about the overall experience. We met like lots of people that like just love this game, and it was really awesome. It was really just nice to be in the same area as people with like common goals and common, interests, and like we were saying about the 1.25 million, like I think this year, after last year when they hit 500,000, that point there was a lot of people that went out and did their own fundraising outside of the marathon stream.
Okay, and either they donated in that marathon stream or they waited till the event. I don't know, but there was a bunch of there was a streamer, Godly Gaia, who was all charity. He got partnered and all that, and everything went to St. Jude's. His goal was like $5,000. So there was a lot of people doing that kind of grind for St. Jude's this past year, leading up into the event. So, I had hopes that they would hit the million, but I was with you. I was like, hey, they're going to hit just at it's going to be like a movie. It's going to be like a buzzer beater. Oh, we just hit 1 million. And then we're going to be at the event going, yeah, so, but they knocked it out of the park this year for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, even Cobb.
Like I said, I'm really excited to be there next year. We need to do a Rasputin Radio in orbit mashup over there and really break it down.
Oh yeah,
heck yeah,
yeah. So I'm excited for next year. I'm excited for this year too. I mean, yes, it did already pass, but again, massive shout out to the community for their charity. A great cause. But let's go to a more subdued topic, I guess. Let's talk about the TWAB this week. And the TWAB was pretty calm this week. It was just the public beta demo, or whatever you want to call it, of Destiny 2 is coming. And we have confirmation of what we will be seeing or doing during this time. We got the Homecoming mission. We got Countdown and Control on specific Crucible maps. Inverted Spire Strike. The Dawnblade, Arcstrider, and Sentinel subclasses will be available. And for 1 hour on Sunday, July 23rd at 10 a.m. Pacific, the farm will be open for you to view. And if you're participating in the beta, you'll get a Destiny 2 Beta Emblem. So I'm excited for this demo. You guys didn't play the Destiny 2 Homecoming mission or anything yet, right? I know that they didn't have it at the...
Nah, they didn't. They didn't have any D2 exclusive stuff there.
Like Deej, Cosmo, and them were all wearing their D2 stuff when we talk with them. But
right.
Other than that, people wearing Destiny 2 gear, but that was it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of hoping that they would have like maybe a couple booths available for like maybe a few hours. I think the main reason that they did I can't speak, that they didn't do it was because they didn't want to overshadow the event, because that's a pretty big thing, and
right.
That would have just stolen everybody from any location. That just would have, I don't know, like on one hand I wanted them to show the game out. On the other hand, I understand, but hopefully next year they'll have private matches so that you can do Destiny 2 at Guardian Con.
Oh yeah, they had that. They had some booths with Scuff and stuff like that, so you could play with a Scuff controller and that. But I'm sure next year it'll be D2 stuff. That would be nice.
Yeah, massive shout out to Scuff too for getting Jordan co-host on this show. By the way, I hope you're recovering. I hope you're doing well, Jordan. They got him a Batman PS4 controller or Xbox. I can't remember, one of the two. And he's just like, "Yo, this thing is amazing."
Oh yeah, I've seen pictures of it.
To them. What's up?
I've seen the picture of it on, I think it was Twitter. It was amazing.
Yeah, that thing is ridiculous. I want to steal it from him. Anyway, then we got Bungie Day, which happened yesterday. We're recording on Saturday, the 8th of July. Bungie put up a whole bunch of really nice looking wallpapers for download on their website. And on Bungie Day, they mentioned that Bungie is planning one last multimedia hurrah before Destiny 2, which will be unveiled at PAX West. And I think that what they're going to be doing is they're going to be doing another retrospective video. So keep an eye out for that. Hopefully they'll put you in the retrospective video, because especially you guys, because you guys did the one challenge a couple months ago, right? The
kill the Templar with the minions.
Yeah.
yeah. If we get that little highlight, that would be awesome.
Oh man, I'll never forget seeing the Bellagio effect of all these Minotaurs shooting.
Dude, it was great. It was so funny. Because we would just stop, and you could like literally sit down and just watch the Minotaurs just put in work. And it was hilarious because they would stop, they would like turn back evil, and you just walk up to them, punch them again, like get back to work, and they would turn around and just start blasting them again. It was hilarious.
Oh man! All right, so and one thing I forgot to mention was that Cosmo is giving out beta codes. So you haven't pre-ordered Destiny 2 yet. Make sure you go check out their Twitter every so often because they'll be dumping out beta codes. And I know Fireteam Chat did so as well. Thankfully, I'm pretty sure everybody on this show right now doesn't have to worry about that because they already pre-ordered. In my case, I pre-purchased the entire collector's edition. Oh, I can't believe I did that. This is the first time I've ever done this for this game.
Really?
For any game, I should say. Like, pre-purchased the entire collector's edition. So I got the bag, the Hawthorne bag coming, the game, all the Cabal extra stuff. I'm like, oh my god, where am I gonna put this? I like after I bought it, I got in my car, had a smile on the face. I'm looking at Cade, and then I'm like, my smile turned into like a concerned, like stoic face, and I'm like,
Cernicus.
where am I gonna put this crap? Like that, I don't know. Yeah, maybe I'll just give it away on the show. We'll find out. So, yeah, I mean, beyond that, let's go ahead and talk about the IGN informative IV bag, as I call it, because they've been drip feeding us information all this week. And I'm really excited to talk about some of this stuff. First thing is, Luke Smith talked about the decision to make an actual sequel. Bungie team had two decisions to make. Whether they wanted to make Taken King style expansions or create a new experience. I know people were trying to, they really wanted kind of the Taken King style expansion with an update to the graphics because they wanted to be able to go to the old stuff with the new weapons and stuff. But they specifically wanted to make a brand new experience with storytelling that would have, the lore in the game rather than remake and fix up an old system. So what do you guys think about that? Like, what are your thoughts on them choosing to go the full sequel route? I should say.
I'll go chicken. I feel like that's the best route. I mean, due to the limitations on the consoles we have now, I feel like we could have encountered a lot more problems, like the technical aspect. I mean, I'm not like a programmer or anything, but I'm pretty sure you would experience maybe some issues with that. So starting from that ground up, you almost have to, when you take that grassroots ground up approach, you just have to just move on with it. You know what I mean? Like it's almost better just to do everything new because then, it's just current.
I think with the whole, like, as Destiny 1 has grown, I think they wanted to take everything they've learned and finally put it into a product without having to expand, like make an expansion and then kind of like slowly redo things. Because, over time you saw how things kind of crumbled on themselves a little bit in certain aspects. So I think with the new system and everything that they're doing, it's going to be a little bit better for the player and stuff like that. I agree with it. And, that's what they do. So if they feel like that's the best option, then, I'll agree with that because I don't do what they do. You know what I mean? So I have faith in them. I trust them.
Yeah. I mean, after Destiny 1, after seeing where Destiny 1 started and ended, like the growth throughout those 3 years, it's hard to like say, you know what? You don't know what you're doing. Like,
right.
I see actual progression. Even though they had limitations with the game engine, which we've all read about,
right? We
can see progress, and we can see that the game is getting to a place where we can really like sink our teeth into this and really feel that it's evolved. So I'm really excited to see how this game plays out in the future. I'm again, I despite all my concerns for Destiny 2, I'm massively excited to play this game. And I know I'm just going to spend hours on this demo, whatever you want to call it.
I can't wait for the beta.
Yeah, I mean, when you go, one of the things that really excited me is when you go into, like, let's say a planet or location, whatever, if it's a moon or whatever, you pull up your director and you see all these different missions, It reminds me of like when you're doing or you're playing Horizon Zero Dawn, and you see like all the different things that pop up, like the long or the tall necks, and then you got a cauldron over here, and then you got the hunting grounds, and you got a town. Well, it's kind of like that, where you're like, you see a mission over here, lost sector over here, something like. I'm excited to like go see, and the thing that really like stuck out to me was seeing, and I know that they already mentioned it, is seeing the public event on there,
right?
And like going to the public event, and like when you see it on the map, that's going to have a lot more people excited or knowledgeable about going to these places rather than pulling up like DestinyPublicEvents.com to pull up a public event. I'm hoping that this leads to more people participating in public events. Like that is something that's always been exciting to me.
I'm eager to see what they've changed about them, if they made them harder to the point where, because I'm sure everybody has talked about this, that like a world boss, not necessarily a world boss situation, but like,
I'm hoping for world bosses.
A little bit harder than just holding down a point against weaker enemies. You know what I mean? Like one of the hardest public events there is to do is the one where it's in the Skywatch, I believe it is, where like Urzok comes down and it gets really heavy and there's like a ground war and you're like, oh my God, it's not that difficult, but like, to the point where you're like, oh my God, I need to be on my game just a little bit. Like they need more of that kind of challenge in terms of public events, because they started giving out decent loot for those towards the end, like a couple marks and some legendaries. Like you got to make us work for that, I think.
Yeah, I think Luke Smith called them silent. I forget what they're called now. Silent. It was something silent, where the enemies move against each other. Because it wasn't really a public event, so to say. It was just... It took the place of a public event, but you mentioned Skywatch. One of the craziest things would be during House of Wolves or Taken King, when you had the silent meetup, whatever, the enemies move against each other, and then the wolves are prowling, or in like when the Taken would come out. Like those things used to get absolutely nuts. It was hilarious. I had so much fun. I think the least favorite of my public events was when it was that like a specific target, kill a target. Because it was just like, it's just a regular captain, and he just has more life. It's not fun.
Right.
Like I want to see more different public events. Even like you mentioned giant bosses. Like when I think of the giant bosses, going back and using the example of Breath of the Wild, like I'm picturing like a Stalnox or like a what are they called? The
I can't think of the names. I'm not good with names.
The centaur. I'm gonna get killed later on for not remembering the name. The Lionel. There we go. Like a Lionel pops up, and you have to like the entire group has to work. And there's like a specific mechanic to take this thing down. Like I would love to see something like that in Destiny with regards to public events, and then other public events that may not involve combat, like may have you involving putting together a puzzle with whatever people are around you.
Right. Yeah, I would love to see all that. I'm just excited to see the beta, because they're saying there's a lot of nooks and crannies that get nice little flary stuff. So I'm good at exploring that stuff. So I'm like, I can't wait. Like when the Dreadnought dropped, they're like, it's a massive space, and like I memorized it in like an afternoon, and I'm like, I thought this was massive. I was like really disappointed. So I really hope when they say it's a large space, it really is a very large space. Like that's what I liked about Horizon, was it was a massive space, and you're just like, oh, I can go over here. Oh my gosh, there's something right here. You know, I want to see that, please.
It just stinks that Horizon came out like with Zelda right there, and Zelda introduced like climbing anything, and climbing in Horizon is just a pain in the I still love the game, don't get me wrong, it's just anyway. The biggest controversial thing I think that popped up for everybody, or for a lot of people I should say, was when Luke Smith was talking about the golf bag mentality for loadouts in some of the more difficult game modes in Destiny. A lot of people are assuming Nightfalls and raids, possibly like heroic versions of raids. So you basically need to come prepared, as once you get into these activities, you won't be able to make any changes.
Oh, the loadout lock? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys?
I think that adds an element of difficulty for sure. But let's be real here. How many times do you change your loadout? Like maybe between sequences? You have a loadout per sequence. If it's locked between the whole raid, then, we might make some minor adjustments. I mean, I don't really change things up that crazy unless it's like, oh, well, let me use a sleeper here. Oh, I need, crowd control right now. But it's not really, you find what works. And there's a way Destiny works. You find what works for you and you usually roll with that. Now, I don't know what Destiny 2 is going to be like and how the changes and all that stuff. But, I mean, I'd be interested to see how it works, because maybe it might be sequence based, and other people were saying yesterday it might just be when you're alive and you can't change until you die.
I mean, it makes you work together better as a team, which I like. Because think about it, if you're a sniper class, and then you have a tank class, and then you have, it makes you coordinate better besides just supers. Because right now, you really can, you grab your 3 weapons for each slot, essentially, for each activity. So you have, your long range, if you're going to play that way. You have your, if you need a shotgun, blah, blah, blah. Now it's just going to be, we need our tanks to go up and get that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, tanks go up and shotgun this guy, and then snipers are back here taking out these guys. Yeah, it makes more role based, and we don't know what the raids are going to look like either. So with the whole like DPS thing changing with power weapons and like this lock, like DPS is actually going to be like an art form. Like it is an art form now. Like, oh, we pop weapons in such a way and do this and the other thing so fast, but it's like it's going to have to be okay. We got to use these abilities together and, support with this. And since there's there is a bubble, but there's not like, just that. You can move with it like the shield. So like, you don't know if we're going to have to get behind it and use that as cover, kind of stuff. It's going to change. And I'm excited for that.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely want to see what they mean by this golf bag mentality, whether it's just, for example, when you're in a darkness zone, you can't change out your weapons, or if it's throughout the entire raid, or if it's just for a nightfall, like a modifier. I'm interested to see it, because I could also see this applying to subclasses. Like, let's say you chose to be a defender. I'm not a defender, a sentinel. You can't change for the rest of this activity. Or let's say you went in as a striker. You're a striker for the rest of the activity. I'm curious to see exactly what this means, because a lot of people, they're kind of worried because they feel like this is an artificial difficulty. And I see it as more as, and I just based on what I'm hearing, I see it more as Bungie like wanting you to really think about what you're doing or what you're bringing to this raid, and work with your team to get the ultimate combination of Guardians put together so that you can, complete this challenge. Like, that's what I think that this game, Destiny 2, is the biggest thing that we're going to take from it is it's all about working with your team even more so than you did before. Not just, oh, we need a Defender Titan. Oh, I'll go ahead and switch. And then I got a Defender Titan. Boom. Like, there was always a disconnect there. It felt weird that all you needed was just one Defender Titan, then boom. Rather than planning something out, like before you go into the raid, like you're already in the raid. Oh shoot, I forgot to bring a Defender Titan. Let me go ahead and switch.
Oh, let me just switch. Yeah. I mean, it was that little thing I feel only existed in the first like couple raid runs that you do, trying to figure out a brand new raid. You know what I'm saying? Like that whole like, oh, we'll probably need this for this and this that, and the other thing. Like, also make sure you bring in this and da 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 da. And then after you figure it out, you're like it turns into what you said. Like, oh, just let me go ahead and switch, or oh, we can make it work, or you know what I mean. And it's kind of just like there's no, like you said, disconnect. There's a disconnect between like the value of the subclass or the value of roles. Because like, I mean, Crota, you could just be like, just hit them with galleys, I'll sword them. It's like, come on, dude. Like, there's like 2 roles. That's not that fun.
Yeah.
Right.
So the other big thing that came from the IGN leaks that they've been doing was the farm social space, which is the first social space that you're going to be going to when you're kicked out of the city by the Cabal. Kicked by the Cabals. Anyway.
Kicked in the Cabals.
As you go through Destiny 2, the population of the farm will increase and change, and there will be events that pop up that can be viewed in the farm. And in the distance will be a shard in the European Dead Zone, and that plays in that region's story. And I saw that shard, I was like, what is that?
Right.
And because at first I was like, is that a shard of the Traveler? Like, what is going on?
That's
here?
what I thought. That's exactly what I thought.
Because I'm looking at it as like, is that the Traveler? But then I saw electricity, so I'm not sure if it is or who it is. Like I items like that interests me. Like seeing big, huge set pieces that we know that are going to be involved in the story. Like, for example, I keep going back to this example, the one Crucible map on not in the European Dead Zone, not Widow's Court, the other one.
Oh yeah,
that
with
you
the
see.
Bus.
I'm
with
sorry.
The bus in the middle. It has like the bus on the one middle side.
Yeah. You see the 3 catches in the sky. Like we're over here practicing technically in PvP while there's a war going around all around you. And I'm just like, why are we here? Like, why are there all these catches? Like things like that interests me. Like I want to see more events like that. And I'm so far in all these images, like there's big, huge, like items that pop out, kind of like the Vex structure on Venus.
Yeah. I think I hope they connect that stuff. And I just want to say about the social space, I'm just so glad that they finally put me and Ralph in the game. So like when you go into the social space, make sure you find Ralph and me. We'll be hanging out. We're the 2 little chickens in there. And there may or may not be a surprise for something you do with the chickens, and it better not be like teabagging them. So,
oh my god,
appreciate that.
Watch there be a trophy that you have to like bring the chicken to a specific location. Oh my gosh! And then I think the most important thing to talk about with regards to the farm, it's an absolutely essential part of this game. Soccer is in the farm with scoring and pyro. Yeah.
Yes.
Here's the one thing I want to know, because I know that there's going to be that one guy, like you'll have a 3-on-3 grouping and they'll be like doing their soccer thing. And all of a sudden another guy decides to show up and kick the ball out of bounds and like completely mess up the game. Oh,
yeah.
No, see, this needs to be controlled, Bungie. This needs to be controlled. People's lives are at stake.
I'm wondering if it's going to be like FIFA, where like you slide and you just actually take people out. That would be hilarious.
That would be funny.
I wonder if there's going to be a bot refereeing too. Like he's going to be in like black and white stripes, like painted on his armor. That would be hilarious.
If I ever saw the bot,
we're all soccer fans, so we really appreciate this a lot.
Right.
You know,
if I ever saw the bot pull out a card, I'm done. I'd have to.
Yeah. Don't forget to watch the Confederations Cup today.
Oh yeah,
USA versus Panama.
Panama.
Oh my gosh. So another cool thing which about this social space is there's going to be 26 different people in that social space, which is significantly more than the Tower, Reef, and Iron Temple. I think the Reef and the Iron Temple can only do 9, and then the Tower does 16. So basically
almost double the size.
What's up?
Almost double the size of the tower at the amount of people.
Didn't they say that they're going to be changing the amount of bots and people in there at different times? So it's going to be like different every time. So you can, or by weeks or months. So sometimes you log in, there could be more people, like random people there. Sometimes they'll be cleared out. Sometimes NPCs will be there. Sometimes NPCs will not. And I like that interactive space rather than just like the same thing you see every time.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. I think that was the biggest gripe people had with the tower was you go to the tower, nothing really changes, not even the inventory. And it wasn't until Age of Triumph that the vendors had rotating inventory, like the perks, the stats, all that stuff. So
I want to see more vendors for like cosmetic. That's my thing. Like we talked about it on Rasputin Radio. We had like pitch a festival a couple weeks back, and I was like, I want to see a flea market. Like I want to be able to gather like materials and trade them for like shaders and chips and stuff. Like I really hope like something like that is in the farm, because you know how they're like they showed in the reveal thing where like they're rebuilding ships. So like, does that mean custom ships? Does that mean, you know what I mean, I can, you know, help or purchase one and they build it for me? Like that would be a really cool thing. So
yeah, I mean, for me, it was always weird in Destiny 1, you got all these materials, spin metal, relic iron, obviously to upgrade your weapons, but you couldn't use those to, let's say, build a weapon, build an armor piece, build your own ship or like Sparrow, like actual construction of these items. And I'm hoping that in this game,
like
there's a
crafting.
little bit of that so that you can build your own creation.
We all know that Division had its problems, right? The two things that I think would do really well, and well, the one thing I think that I want to see that I loved in Division was the crafting type stuff. Like I could grind for materials, come back, get like a weapon blueprint and just craft it and keep crafting till I get the stats I want.
Well, I mean, with the locked roles that they talked about, I think crafting would be successful in Destiny because you don't have to recraft it and recraft. They can make it to where it's almost like a quest where you gather the materials and then you craft it. You know what I mean? And you get just that whatever their designated role is that they've put in the game. So, I mean, I think it could be successful because it would just give you little side things. Oh, I want this weapon, and the only way to get this weapon is to find the materials and craft it. You know?
Right.
I really think. Sorry,
sorry.
I really think they should take the emphasis down on vendor role weapons. I feel like when they made those like super powerful, not super powerful.
Oh, yeah.
Like when you can get a palindrome, right?
That's the best role.
You know, that's a best role from a vendor. Like, why grind for other, you know, weapons? I mean, when there's... So I feel like going back to that year one RNG.
Yeah, year one RNG is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry to cut you off, but like we all know that their legendaries felt exotic. That's the only point I was trying to make. Right. I'm sorry for cutting you off. So we've talked about this at length, and it's like when, like you said, Honus, when I can just go up there and buy basically an exotic hand cannon that's a legendary, and that's all that's being used in sweats and trials, like, yeah, that's the gun. And I do like what you're saying. You know, maybe the vendor weapon should be not even a midway point, just a starting point, and then from there you can craft through that same vendor for higher roll stuff. Right.
You have the power to upgrade your weapons to make them stronger, but they should be weak. And like raid drops and nightfall drop weapons should have like that specialness, that power behind it, because you, like, if I get the same drop, I'm trying to think what kind of drop I would get. Normally, I usually just get motes of light from a nightfall, but like, just say I get a Zero Dawn Dilemma or whatever, right? The auto rifle, right? Just say I get that, but it's also selling at the vendor. The vendor one should be noticeably weaker than my one I get at the nightfall. Like, that should have special stuff that you can only get from the nightfall that makes it a little more strong, you know, a little stronger. That's all I'm saying. It makes it feel a little, like, it makes the activities feel worth it.
Yeah.
Because when I grind a nightfall and get the same vendor weapon I could get, like, that's frustrating. That's
agreed.
That's just, or motes of light, which, you know.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I agree with you guys. I think that the Nightfall, the thing that was missing from Nightfall rewards, and I know that they changed it in Destiny 1 so that the elemental primaries dropped as exotics, but I personally would have made it so that you do the Nightfalls you have a chance of getting a legendary, let's say the Cryptic Dragon, or I know that's a Crucible weapon, but let's just go with the Cryptic Dragon for this example. You if you were to do normal activities, you could have a Cryptic Dragon that drops. But if you do the Nightfall, you have an elemental version of the Cryptic Dragon that drops.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
That's how you would get those elemental prime. And I'm just using Destiny 1 as an example. Destiny 2, because we already know that the energy weapons are going to be your elementals. That it's hard to really kind of think about how drops are going to work in Destiny 2. You know what I mean? Because in Destiny 1, we're so used to all your primaries, like all your scout rifles and everything being tier 1, tier 2 being your shotguns and snipers and fusions, and then tier 3 being everything else. But like now, like everything from tier 1 and tier 2 are basically the same, just
interchangeable. Yeah.
So it's hard to really think of like what these rewards are going to be like, or going to be exactly. I personally am of the mindset of, if what they're saying is true, and I'm not saying that it isn't, but just based on the previous show, we haven't really seen sources for this kind of interview with Luke Smith, I should say, with Mashable. But if what they said previously, where all these guns have locked statistics, like locked perks, like let's just go and use a hand cannon that has rangefinder and luck in the chamber. No matter what, this version of this gun will have rangefinder and luck in the chamber. And let's say that you were to get it from Nightfall. A Nightfall version would have a random third perk, and then you can custom fit the gun with different scopes that add different perks to it or different statistics to it. And
right, more customizable almost.
Right,
because it's end game.
So that's how I see them approaching weapons in Destiny 2, where you have the set perks, and then you can customize it like different barrel. Like, I have more range, but less bullets, or fire slower, whatever the case may be. Like, that's how I see them balancing those guns out, where you can customize it, kind of like the perks that they started using in TTK, where you have more range, but less stability, more reload speed, less, impact, whatever the statistics are. Like, that's how I see them going. Like, you have to make decisions now. And I see them putting this, not just in the weapons, but in everything that they're doing. That's why they're going with the golf bag mentality. Right. So I'm really excited to see how weapons, the drop system, the reward system, I should say, works in Destiny 2, because I think it's going to be way different than what we have in Destiny 1, to the point where it's hard to make a comparison between the two, because they're so significantly different.
And the gunplay is going to be different.
Right.
So it's going to be a shocker to some people. You know, I feel like it might turn some people off, you know?
Yeah.
The other thing is, on the flip side of that golf bag mentality, is you need to have enough vault space to be able to carry a lot of weapons.
Or weapon attachments, if that's the case.
And like, if you have to, if you're locked in, you're going to like have a space for all that crap. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to carry it with you, obviously, because you're locked in. Like, if your loadout's locked, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have to need more, you know, because right now what we have now is obviously not enough.
I know everybody's waiting to hear about the vaults. Like
the announcement.
I see it every single week. That, and when am I going to get my code for the beta? Like, those are the two big things that I see every week. Where's my vault? Where's my vault? Where's my beta code? Oh my God! Give it a moment. Let us get there. Let us get there. So another cool thing I wanted to talk about was they kind of gave more information about these flashpoints, and apparently a crucible version of the flashpoint. The flashpoints are a specific destination that will be selected as your main point of interest, that you will be rewarded Nightfall tier rewards for completing tasks such as public events, missions, lost sectors, stuff like that. And then the Crucible version, the Call to Arms, will have you do specific Crucible quests. So this is basically the next step in the questification of Destiny, where you're going to be going and doing things to get Nightfall level rewards. This is really, really cool for solo players because now they have a set path. And the big thing in this game is the milestones, the quests, I should say, how you track your main goals in Destiny, where you see, okay, I need to do this, this, and this, to be able to complete this quest for this week. And then if I complete all this stuff together, like I've completed my flashpoint for the week or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm really excited to see how these play out because I want to see stuff beyond just like doing missions or daily.
That's way more MMO like
mm-hmm.
than how we are now, which is I'm happy about because I'm a PvE player. So you look me up on PvP, I'm a support player. That's it. So for me, like, yeah, I'm cool with adding more of those elements in to make me do more quests and things like that, group activities, but not PvP.
Right.
No, it's really cool because this is what people have wanted for a long time. But I'm also gonna I'm saying that with a little bit of a pause because and not for myself. I always look at these things not just for me but for the community, and I know that this is gonna turn off a lot of people, like you mentioned earlier. Like, these are big, shocking changes to the game that we know. The game, the game that we know, people have grown comfortable with, and when you change things like this, like. This has the potential to like turn a lot of people off. You're going to bring a lot of people in, but there's going to be some people that may fall off saying, "This is not what I like."
Okay. I think, there, like we said, there's going to be the people in PvP that are butthurt because they can't just run up and shotgun you. Listen, anything, I'm a sniper in PvP, so I'm a little sad that, I was sad that I lost my special, but I didn't crutch a sniper. You talk to anybody that plays with me, I get into positions where you don't think I'm about to snipe, and they might be risky and stupid, but I pull off some pretty retarded stuff, and you're just like, oh my God, there was a quick scope, or oh my God, I can't believe I got that slide snipe. But at the same time, like, I didn't use it in the traditional sense where I'm in the back of the map hard scoping. We played a team the other day in Iron Banner that did that, and it's mayhem, and you're camping in the back of your spawn. And it was the European Dead Zone one that you talked about with the bus in the middle. I can't remember that name. But, like, they're going to be shocked. And what I've heard and talked to people about with the speed, I said, since skating and stuff like that is out, like the speed will slow down, but they also said that countdown thing was one of the fastest game modes they've ever played. So they're like, they combat it with that. Okay, yeah, our movement speed isn't that fast, but we have to, engage each other. You know what I mean? On basically bare bones gunplay. And it's not like, oh, okay, I can just, skate up to you and shoulder charge you kind of stuff. It's like, hey, let me get into let me rush to a position and let's try and engage them before this timer goes out. So, I mean, it's going to change. And I think people, like you said, are going to be like, man, Destiny's dead. We're always going to get those people. Destiny died with Destiny 1 or something like that. But, I think it's going to change for the better personally. But, people don't like change. People are comfortable with stuff, like you said. So I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like I just have this suspicion that the introduction of the PC, you're going to see with all these changes, you're going to see a lot of like players that are on console now, and they're like not happy with the PvE changes, might move to the PC permanently just for the PvP. And then that becomes the divide. Like, PC's really for PvP players, and you see PvE more because the frames per second doesn't really matter all that much on PvE. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. it's more so for the PvP. So I just kind of get that feeling that if they're not liking the gameplay that much on the PvE side, they'll go to the competitive side, but that's going to be that's going to be on the PC because of the unlimited potential based on your system.
Right. Yeah, I thought about that because you got to think that when it comes competitive in like esports, most of those esports are, keyboard, mouse, or whatever it may be, Counter-Strike and all that. So, I'm sad, opening up the PC, whatever you want to do. But I'm sad that some of my favorite console players are like, hey, I'm going to go to PC. I'm like, do you really need to? Do you need to? Because like we talked about this, Jorge, right? We were like, hey, there's something about having a console and a controller in my hand. Yeah, you can get a controller for the PC, but it's not a console. That's a computer. You know what I mean? It doesn't bring that old school feel, and it doesn't really, to me, I haven't played on a PC yet, but it's not like, it doesn't really feel like I'm gaming if it's not like, console controller, because I played, Pokemon on an emulator or whatever on my computer, and it's still like, I just, it's just not for me, I guess.
Yeah. So. I mean, there's a reason. Look, we all know that we can have a PC, like a bare bones PC that you can put literally every single Nintendo game, Super Nintendo game on there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just something about the NES Mini holding that controller,
right?
Like if it just feels right. I'm not saying that you can't have a good experience using emulators or whatever on a PC or playing Destiny 2 on a PC, but for me, like I came up from the background of gaming on console, and I've always had a controller. So for me, the controller feels natural. I know for many people, they started on PC, and for them, a keyboard and mouse feels natural. So I guess from my perspective, and based on what you're saying from your perspective, like having the controller in your hand, having the game in your console, playing that console, like that's like having that fixed. I don't want to say fixed. That's not what I mean. But like we'll go with that term anyway. Having that fixed feeling, that catered feeling, experience is what like it's what brings the package together.
Right.
So I'm gonna be interested to see how the Destiny 2 definitely plays on the PC, because I want to know how people experience it, and then comparing that experience to console. I'm gonna definitely get it for PC. I'll just play it. I'll plug in my USB controller. Not that I'm gonna be playing PvP much on that, but I'm definitely excited to know what the experience is gonna be like. Going back to something you guys mentioned for Countdown, like talking about it being the fastest game mode. I'm so excited for that mode because it is pure objective. Either you kill the people on the other side, or you what is it? Either defuse or set off the bomb. Like it is pure objective. You're not. It's like, okay, you can sit back and not play Rift and just get kills and eventually win the game after a very, very long time, or you could do the Rift like on these game modes that we've had in Destiny 1. Like you pretty much had. It's like you don't have to do the objective, but you can get extra points if you do. Like this is like no, you play the objective, and it looks a lot of fun.
Right? Yeah. I was saying, when I saw that, I said, man, they should make trials like that.
It's kind of like, you know what? It's trials mixed with salvage, mixed with
kind of. I wouldn't say Rift, but kind of I'd say salvage trials.
Salvage trials.
Maybe control, because you had to control that area, but it's not like I guess diffusing. I didn't. You got to diffuse. That's salvage, but. Like the speed of it was great, and it was thrilling to watch the people publish their gameplay of it. And I was like, man, this is trials. You know what I mean? This is heated. You know what I'm saying? There's no like
me if they did replace the trials mode with something else.
And I was just like, dude, this would be epic and hard, and if it's for the top of the top PvP people, you know what I mean? In trials, at the end you have to cap a point. So it doesn't really get heated until the last 30 seconds of the match or each round, sorry. And, okay, so you wait like a minute and then you get into the heated stuff. At that time, you're farming super, special ammo, power ammo, whatever it may be at the time. So it's like, but in Countdown, they went right to it. Once they saw somebody, they engaged. They didn't say, okay, you rap and this, they were going for it. And it was awesome to watch. And I forget who I said it to. I was like, yo, Countdown is going to be trials. I'm not calling it. I'm not going to say, hey, I told you first. But like, I wouldn't be surprised, like you said, that if they did something like that to make it more thrilling and faster.
Right. I mean, my theory is that trials is going to have rotating game modes. And I can definitely see elimination being part of trials, but I can just as easily see Countdown. And there's a reason why that was the first game mode that they showed off, because they could have easily shown off
Control,
their version of Control, or even Clash, and they didn't do that. They showed Countdown. They right at the premiere event, and I know it's about showing new things, but that's a completely new style of gameplay, and I could easily see them putting that as the trials mode, like you mentioned.
It would be good.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Make sure that you guys stay tuned on IGN, because throughout the week, this Monday, the 10th of July, they're going to be talking about PvP. So there's a chance for a new game mode to be shown out. July 11th, they'll be talking about story. July 12th will be the Sentinel Titan expose. Ooh. July 13th will be another PvP reveal. And July 14th, they'll be talking about sound. So with that, I think we reach a good point. Was there anything you guys wanted to pop up before we wrap this guy up?
I'm just counting the days to the beta. I mean, I'm glad the IGN was able to plan this whole little lead up thing, just kind of boosting the hype a little bit more. But I'm ready to get my hands on that thing for sure.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited. I'm just kind of keeping my head down, hoping that it's every day is closer, and I wake up one day and it's like, oh, the beta's here. Yay.
Yeah, right.
Very, very soon.
It's like Christmas.
Yeah, like I don't want to like the kids in the back of the car on a road trip. Like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Right.
That's how I feel. Like, are we there yet? Come on. Right.
And this stage of In Orbit is cleared. So we want to thank you for listening to In Orbit. We're available on a ton of platforms, so make sure that you guys are spreading the word. The best way to do that is to share In Orbit with others. We're on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Overcast for iOS, Downcast for iOS, Google Play Music, Stitcher Smart Radio, Player.fm, Podcasts, YouTube, and we have an RSS feed. Links for each are available right on the Mash Those Buttons website at www.mashthosebuttons.com. Make sure to stay tuned after the show to hear what's happening this week on Mash Those Buttons. Make sure to check out the other shows available here on the Mash Those Buttons network at www.mashthosebuttons.com/shows to see all of our podcasts. For any questions regarding scheduling, check mashthosebuttons.com/schedule for scheduling details. You can check us out on twitter.com/mtbsite, twitter.com/inorbitpodcast, facebook.com/mashthosebuttons, youtube.com/mashthosebuttons. And Honus, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Facebook at @Honus5. I'm very active in the Fireteam Chat podcast, group, Facebook group, and some other ones. You also can find me weekdays on Wednesday at 8:15 Eastern Time PM on Rasputin Radio Podcast every week. Fun times. You can find me there.
Cool. And Chris, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram under Chicken Fingers, ChikinFingaz, and also on Wednesdays at Rasputin Radio Podcast, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. We have a lot of fun. We have a different take on Destiny, and it's just almost like, hey, grab a beer and let's hang out. So hope to see you guys there.
Yeah, it's an awesome podcast. Make sure you guys check it out. My co-host, Jordan, was actually on that show recently, so make sure you guys check out that episode. The Rasputin Radio In Orbit mashup continues.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And as always, you can find me on all the different social network sites and gaming platforms via my screen name, GoToNRG. That's GO, the number 2, NRG. Make sure to contact us with any questions to inorbitpodcast@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at twitter.com/inorbitpodcast. My prior events are not a memory. It is momentum. It advances, leads, and controls, points and directs, shapes and forms. I may not enjoy everything that lies in front of me, but as in any story, the past needs resolution. We are the authors, the finishers of our fate. What is in my past is my prologue, and what is in my future is my destiny. On behalf of the entire In Orbit team, David, Jordan, Jarrett, and myself, and this week's guests, Honus and Chicken Fingers, we thank you for listening to our show, and as always, we'll see you on the next mission. Your destiny calls.